Hey, it's Papa Drew. We're going to talk about departing your campsite. A lot of people may not have known this. They might have picked it up in my videos, but I am a former Marine. My job in the Marines, I was an 1812 was my MOS, and that's M1A1 heavy tank crewman. That's right, I drove tanks. And in the tanks, we had checklists. We had checklists for everything. We had checklists when we were going to depart with the tank, when we were going to move out. We had checklists when we pulled into position for the night. We went over the checklist. And everybody had a checklist, and everybody had to make sure that they did their job. RVs are the same thing, in my opinion. They're big, heavy objects. Tanks are big, heavy objects, so are RVs. So what I do is, when I know we're going to depart at 12 o'clock, we start getting ready. That early in the morning, we kind of start prepping ourselves to get ready, because nobody wants to leave the campsite. We're there, we're having fun, we don't want to leave, right? Shh, that sucks. But we have to, because it's real world and we need to go make money and do other things, right? Life must move on. So anyway, we have an RV checklist. So the first thing that I do is I pop the hood, a Gamma, my RV, and I check the oil levels, I check the transmission, I check the brake fluid, the radiator fluid, all the fluids in the coach, right? After I do that, then I walk to the passenger side. Now, when I'm camping, my mirrors are folded in. So my cue that side has been checked is I will open up the mirror. I'll pull it up to its traveling position so I can see what's behind me, right? So the first thing the first thing that a lot of people have are those crank TV antennas, and I know a ton of people have forgotten them. I saw a guy the other day at Dockweiler when we were camping. He had his DirecTV satellite completely in the up position as he was driving down the campsite. Those are a lot of money. I don't have one of those. So we have a radial TV dish, so I don't have to crank it up and down. I can just leave it the way it is to travel down the road. It's not a big deal. A lot of people have the crank one, so stow those, crank that, right? The next thing is check your awnings, your knobs on your awnings, and check that the awning is clipped into itself and that it is in the up position. A lot right on those awnings, they have an up and down position. Make sure it's in the up position and the awning's stowed against the coach. The last thing you want to do is have your awning come out, and those are expensive. So this little checklist is going to save you time, and it's going to save you money, right? The next thing you want to do is make sure that you put away your barbecues, your bicycles, your chairs, your fire pits if you have them. Put them in the basements. And what I do is I put it away in the basement, and I will lock it, and I will check it. And I'll pull on it to make sure that it's actually locked. Those locks on the old school locks, they don't really work so well. So I always pull on them to make sure that they're locked, right? So then I go ahead and I will walk myself around to where the bikes are. I'll put the bikes in the bike racks. I'll make sure those are locked down, and I'll actually put a padlock through those and lock them down. So when I'm driving down the road, they don't bounce out and we have a big problem. Right? Then we go over to my wastewater management bay. And what I usually do, and I know this is controversial, but when I pull into a park with full hookups, I pull the gray tank, right? Because I don't want to be going and checking my gray levels when people are taking showers or they're running the dishes or whatever. I just let that stuff drain out. It's not a big deal. It goes right into the park because you have full hookups, right? So what I do is I'll push that gray valve back in. And that way, if somebody's doing the dishes or somebody's taking a shower or somebody's running the sink or whatever, that gray tank is filling up. So when it comes time to depart, I will go ahead and fill up my gray tank. I will pull my black tank levers, so I let all that waste come out. Then I'll pull my gray tank, clean out that hose, put everything back. Then I'm going to start unhooking the shore power. I'm going to unhook the water. And don't store your water hose where your black hose is. That's disgusting. Don't do that. I store that in a separate compartment all by itself, and it's just a water hose, and there's nothing else in that compartment. I mean, nothing's in that compartment, just the water hose. I don't want to get anybody sick. So then I do the black hose the stinky slinky, I do that next, okay? And then I put all that stuff away and I lock that compartment and pull on it. Now I'm working back towards the driver's side. The only bay that I don't lock and check are the ones where I put my leveling blocks in. I have the old school leveling blocks where you have to drive up. Pain in the butt, I get it. I don't lock that bay. I leave that bay open for a reason, because I'm gonna back the coach down and take the blocks out, and then I'll put it back in there, and then I'm gonna lock it. That's the last bay that I lock, okay? When I get into the driver's compartment, I have forgot to take the brake off the coach. I can't tell you how many times. Matter of fact, I broke the brake cable when we first got the coach, and I had to have it welded and put back. So now I get those little 3x5 cards. They look like this, and I will write parking brake out, and I will put that in the steering wheel. I'll also write vent covers are open, windows are open. What else? That's about it for the inside, but I'll make little notes and stick them on the steering wheel so I don't forget, right? Because everybody's been there at the campsite when neighbors have come over, or your wife asks you to do something, or your kids ask you to do something. You get a little bit of distraction going on and you forget something. And you're just like, oh, did I do this? Did I not do this? So the cards are there just so it helps me remind myself. And it's really easy. I put it right where the horn is and the steering wheel. There's a little space right there. I just slip that card in there so I know it's there. Now for the inside, okay, I will go ahead, and once I disconnect shore power, I will go over to my Dometic refrigerator, which is going to get repaired at Camping World next weekend because the refrigerator is not cooling. If anybody has any comments or ideas about why it's not cooling, comment below, please. You can help me out before I start spending a ton of money. But what I'll do is I'll take the gas and refrigerator and take it off of automatic, and I'll turn it on to gas. Okay. The next thing I do is I walk around the inside and I make sure that the windows are all shut and locked. We've left windows open as we're traveling down the road, and the wind beats up on those screens and actually will pull them out of the screen. You have to get that little plastic tool and put them back. Right. And usually my wife takes care of the inside of this stuff while I'm taking care of the outside, stowing the fire pits and all that stuff. She's usually stripping the beds down, and she's usually doing some of the dishes and doing that kind of, getting the kids and doing that kind of stuff. It's good to split up so you have jobs, right? So one person's not trying to do everything. That's no fun, especially when you're trying to pack up and get out and you're trying to make the kids happy, and it just becomes teamwork is the best when we're trying to get out of a campsite. Okay, so I turn the refrigerator on to gas. I make sure that all the cupboards are closed. I put the coffee maker in the sink because we've had a problem driving down the road. When we first got the coach, we had a 2-gallon jug of water, and we had set it up on the countertop, and I went and made a left turn, and the next thing I heard was a big thud, and water went everywhere. We had broken the jug. So now we've learned to not put anything on the counters as we're turning. I was talking to you about, I was in the Marine Corps. I have a couple tips for moving around in big objects, heavy objects while you're going down the road, some safety stuff. And I'm gonna put that in somewhere in this video, so just keep watching. I usually don't vlog, so I'm doing the best I can here. In the microwave, there is a glass tray. We take that out and we stow that underneath the refrigerator. We have a spot there so that doesn't bounce around and break. We go into the bathroom, we take all the soaps and stuff, we put that in the sink, and just common sense stuff. That's about all we do when we do a checklist. We also turn off the 12 volt, this is a big one, we turn off the 12 volt water pump just in case one of the faucets gets hit while you're driving down the road and you start running your water pump and filling up that gray tank, and then it overflows, and now you have a really big mess as you're going down. So, like I said, the driver's responsible for doing the very last checks. So what I usually do before I put my slides in, I'll go and look to make sure, one, that there's nothing obstructing my slides, because those slides will crush just about anything they get their hands on, right? So I'll check those. I check the sky vents, right? I have 3 of them. I check those. I check the microwave. I check the sink, make sure stuff's stowed in the sink. I check the cabinets, make sure those are all stowed right. My wife is really good. She does a really good job about that. But I just like to double check. Checklists are kind of in my in my blood, right? Anyway, so here's a tip. When you're driving a big vehicle down the road, say you're cruising down to a campsite and somebody wants a sandwich, one of the kids wants a sandwich, or something happens at the back of the coach and your passenger has to get up out of her seat or his seat and walk down the coach. Well, as a driver, I am in control of that coach and I'm responsible for anybody that moves around and anything inside that coach and around me. So what I usually do is I'll yell out, "Hey, I'm braking," before I hit the brakes, just to let whoever knows walking around that the brakes are coming so they don't go flying around the coach, right? If I'm about ready to hit a bump, I'll yell out, "Brace." And that means they need to hang on and brace themselves because we're going to hit a big bump and you don't want to knock those people around. This is the same thing we did inside of in the tanks when we're moving the tanks. Every time we hit a big bump, or I got a load of gung-ho and wanted to jump a 70-ton tank, which I have, 10 feet off the ground, we would yell "brace." And that meant everybody in the crew would hold on for dear life, especially if I'm driving. I don't do that in the motorhome. I should, but I don't. Anyway, this is just a quick RV checklist from Papa Drew. We have a lot coming up. We have Pechanga. I'm excited. That's coming up. I'm going to do a review on the park. I'm going to do a review on the casino, and we're going wine tasting. Nope, we're not taking the kids and we're not taking the dog. It's just the wife and I this time. So we're going to get a good reviews going on that. I got a couple more checklists coming up and some other stuff. I appreciate everybody that has subscribed. Thank you. You're really helping us out. And if you haven't subscribed and you see some cool stuff and you want some good park reviews, honest park reviews in SoCal, some tips and tricks, that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button. I'm also on Instagram now, and I'm on Twitter. So I'll put those all in the description below, along with the checklist, just to help everybody out. I want to save everybody some time and some money, and everybody be safe out there and keep RVing. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and that's Papa Drew, and I am out.